The air in Mansfield tastes like rust and bloody pennies. You don't breathe here. You swallow it into your lungs every damn day. It clings to your teeth. It coats your throat. A heavy, metallic sludge serving as a permanent, choking reminder that you are buried alive. 22 hours a day. That is the reality of the concrete coffin holding me. It isn't much larger than a walk-in closet, yet it swallows entire lifetimes. It strips you bare, leaving nothing behind but hollow bones and the absolute worst of your intentions. Nothing else survives under this concrete. I sit on the edge of a razor-thin mattress. My thumbnail traces the jagged spiderweb cracks in the cinder block wall. I dig into the hard grout until the keratin splinters, bleeding tiny red drops into the gray dust. Dust motes dance in a single anemic shaft of sunlight, struggling through the grated window. That dying light illuminates the constant, rhythmic drip of a leaky pipe over a rusted steel toilet. Drip, splash, drip. It's a metronome counting down dead time, a water torture clock, chipping away at whatever sanity you managed to smuggle in through intake. Down the tier, the suffocating quiet shatters. A high-pitched, warbling scream tears through the heavy air. It echoes against the steel grates, scraping the inside of my skull like a rusted nail. Almost immediately, the sharp chemical stench of burning plastic kicks me in the teeth. Melting mattress foam, charred fabric. The smell is thick, oily. It clings to the back of my nasal cavity, burning the delicate tissue. Word travels fast in the cages. Someone down in Block 4 lost their visitation rights. Instead of weeping into his pillow, he struck a match and tried to burn the whole damn world down. The air in our cell grows hazy. It stings my eyes, turning that anemic sunlight into a dirty, apocalyptic orange smudge. I don't move. The monster on the bottom bunk doesn't move. Nobody on the entire concrete block moves. We just sit in the rising heat, baking in our own sweat, watching the faint reflection of the flames dance across puddles of stagnant water on the floor, breathing in the thick, toxic fumes. Nobody blinks. Nobody cares. Burning alive in a locked cage is just another Tuesday in Mansfield. Then, the vibration begins. It starts low, a deep tremor traveling up through the cold concrete floor, vibrating through the thin paper soles of my institutional slip-ons, crawling right up my shins into my gut. It isn't the usual hollow, dragging shuffle of a lone guard doing the hourly count. This is heavy, synchronized, boot heels striking stone with absolute, terrifying purpose, a predatory march. The electronic lock on our door disengages with a sound like a guillotine dropping. Clack, hiss. The heavy steel door slides back along its greased track, groaning and screeching in metallic protest. The hallway light, usually a sickly, flickering fluorescent yellow, glints off cold, blued steel. The correctional officers stand shoulder to shoulder on the catwalk. The pepper spray is gone. The scuffed wooden batons are missing from their belts. Today, their knuckles wrap white-knuckle tight around the dark synthetic stocks of Remington 870 pump-action shotguns and AR-15 rifles. The sharp, clean scent of Hoppy's No. 9 gun oil cuts right through the smell of the burning mattresses, a sterile, chemical promise of extreme violence. I watch the lead officer. His jaw clamps so tight, the muscles bunch under his skin like coiled copper wires. His eyes are hollowed out, devoid of boredom, devoid of malice, devoid of anything remotely human. He is a predator, locked entirely into the present second, scanning the cages for a reason to pull the trigger. I watch his thumb, encased in tight black leather, rest heavily against the metal safety catch of his rifle. A single bead of sweat crawls down the side of his temple, catches the fluorescent light, and soaks into the starched blue fabric of his collar. When he speaks, he doesn't yell. He doesn't need to. His voice drops into the dead silence of the cell block, scraping like coarse grit sandpaper against the ringing in our ears. Listen up. His gaze sweeps over the line of inmates stepping out onto the tier. I catch a glimpse of a guy 2 cells down, a lifer. He stands perfectly still, his lips stained a glossy, vibrant red from crushed cherry Kool-Aid powder, a startling, surreal slash of color in a world painted entirely in shades of gray, shadows, and rusted iron. The lead guard shifts his grip on the rifle. The leather of his gloves creaks, a sharp, distinct sound slicing through the smoke-filled silence. When we walk to laundry today, his voice continues flat, hollowed out of any inflection. You might notice some film crews and celebrities out in the yard. Movie people. Stallone. He pauses. The silence stretches out, pulling taut like a piano wire about to snap under unimaginable tension. I lock eyes with him for a fraction of a second. I can see the reflection of the iron bars in his dark, dilated pupils. Anyone steps out of line, the threat hangs heavy and absolute in the dusty air. Anyone, you will be shot, no questions asked. With those words branding themselves into our minds, the march begins.
100 men, stripped of their names, reduced to a string of digit-stamped canvas, moving in a synchronized, dragging rhythm. Clank, shuffle, clank, shuffle. The sound echoes off the peeling yellow paint of the corridor. Usually, the walk to the laundry is a moment to breathe, a tiny sliver of transit where the suffocating grip of the cell loosens just a fraction. Not today. Today, the air packs a dense, crackling electricity. The guards flank us, walking backward, their assault rifles held tight against their chests, muzzles tracking our center mass. Every time my canvas shoe scuffs the floor, my stomach tightens, twisting into cold knots. The threat of lethal force isn't just spoken, it is a physical weight pressing down on my shoulders, compressing my ribs, making it hard to pull oxygen into my lungs. We hit the heavy steel doors leading to the yard. They swing open. The blinding Midwestern sun hits my face like a physical blow. My pupils, accustomed to the sickly, flickering gloom of the tier, contract violently. The heat radiating off the cracked asphalt of the recreation yard is suffocating. It smells of melting tar, stale sweat, and the sharp, coppery tang of pure adrenaline leaking from 100 terrified men. I blink away the sun blindness, and there it is. 300 yards out, beyond the rusted chain link and the coiled concertina wire, towering metal scaffolding holds massive, reflective silver screens catching the glare. Boom mics hover in the air like giant fuzzy insects. People in bright polo shirts and khaki shorts stroll around holding clipboards. Icy condensation drips down the sides of clear plastic cups filled with gourmet coffee. A catering table sags under the weight of fresh, vibrant fruit. Strawberries, grapes, melons. A neon fever dream slapped right into the middle of the cage. My heart hammers against my ribs, but my jaw is locked shut. 100 wild animals holding their breath, standing perfectly still, just so we don't bleed background noise into their pristine audio track. Eyes front, a voice hisses near my ear. It's the young guard on my right flank. He can't be more than 22, but his face is pale, shining with a greasy sheen of nervous sweat.
He grips a Remington 870 shotgun so tightly his knuckles shine completely white, the skin stretched thin over the bone. His finger isn't resting on the trigger guard. It's curled right over the trigger itself. He's terrified of us. He's looking at 100 caged monsters, and his hands are shaking. A terrified man holding a 12 gauge is the most dangerous organism on Earth. Directly in front of me in the line is a guy who shouldn't even be in general population. He belongs strapped to a hospital bed 24/7. His brain is fried from a cocktail of missing meds and violent, paranoid schizophrenia. His shoulders twitch in erratic, jerky spasms. A low, wet, rhythmic muttering bubbles up from the back of his throat. The heat is getting to him. The disruption of the routine, armed guards, the bright lights of the movie set, it's all taken a sledgehammer to his fragile grip on reality. I feel the exact millisecond the atmosphere snaps. Over by the film set, a voice amplified by a megaphone rips through the hot air. Action! It is immediately followed by a sharp, echoing crack of a wooden clapperboard. To the movie crew, it's just a noise to sync the audio. To the paranoid schizophrenic walking 2 feet in front of me, it's a gunshot ringing out in a war zone. He jerks like a hooked fish. His hands fly up to his ears and he stumbles backward, completely breaking the single-file line. His heavy leather boot comes down hard on the toe of my canvas shoe. He falls dead weight into my chest, knocking the wind out of my lungs in a sharp gasp, pushing me sideways. I stumble. I step out of the formation. Time freezes solid, trapped in amber. Shuck, shuck. The mechanical, heavy metal sound of the pump action racking a shell into the chamber is the loudest noise left in the universe. It vibrates right through the enamel of my teeth. I'm falling backward, arms windmilling, desperate to stay upright, desperate to grab the screaming man and haul him back into the invisible line. I look up. The young, sweating guard hasn't aimed at the schizophrenic on the ground. He's tracked the largest mass of sudden movement. He has aimed at me. My ears ring. Bile burns my throat. No time, no way out. Just a universe-sized 12-gauge barrel and a finger squeezing down. I close my eyes. The darkness behind my eyelids is absolute. A brace for the fiery tearing of lead through bone, waiting for the permanent dark. Boom! The pressure rips the air apart. A shockwave punches straight through my chest, wringing the absolute last drop of oxygen from my collapsing lungs. Eardrums pop. A shrill, shrieking whine drowns out the universe, vibrating deep in my jawbone. The savage stench of burnt sulfur invades my airway, instantly swallowing the scent of melting tar, stale sweat, and Hollywood catering. But there is no pain, no tearing flesh, no blood in my eyes, just the searing heat of the Midwestern sun beating down on my face. I open my eyes. The world is a blurred, ringing kaleidoscope, spinning wildly out of focus. The rookie guard stumbles backward. His face is drained of blood, a sickly, translucent white mask of shock. The Remington 12 gauge is no longer leveled at my head. The barrel points straight up at the cloudless Ohio sky. A thin, lazy wisp of gray smoke curls from the muzzle. Standing right beside him, gripping the scorching hot steel of the shotgun barrel with a thick, leather-clad hand, is the lead veteran officer from the cell block. His dead, shark-like eyes are no longer empty. They burn with a cold, concentrated, absolute fury. He moved with terrifying, predatory speed, closing the distance and violently shoving the weapon skyward in the exact millisecond the rookie's panicked finger broke the trigger. The cinematic freeze frame shatters into brutal kinetic motion. The veteran officer doesn't just disarm the kid, he dismantles him. With a vicious, calculated twist of his wrists, he rips the shotgun free from the rookie's trembling grip. In the exact same fluid motion, he steps deep into the kid's personal space, uses his momentum, and drives the heavy wooden stock of the weapon straight into the dead center of the rookie's chest.
Crack. The sound of giving cartilage is sickeningly loud, cutting through the ringing in my ears. The young guard folds perfectly in half, expelling all the air in his lungs in a wet, choking gasp. He hits the blistering asphalt hard. He drops to his knees, curling into a fetal ball, clutching his sternum while tears of pure, unadulterated pain stream down his face, pooling in the dust. 100 hardened criminals turn to stone. Nobody breathes. Nobody blinks. We stand dead in our tracks, rooted to the boiling asphalt, just watching the masters of our cage tear each other apart. The veteran officer steps right over the gasping rookie, his heavy black boots crunching against the gravel. He leans down, bringing his face inches from the kid's ear. He doesn't scream. He doesn't have to. His voice is a lethal, gravelly whisper that cuts right through the ringing in my head like a rusted razor blade. "You trying to fry this whole damn prison, you idiot?" The veteran barks, his jaw clenched so tight the muscles twitch. "What do you think the warden will do if a corpse ruins Hollywood's $10 million set today?" He slowly turns his head and looks down at me. I am still sprawled on the boiling asphalt, my hands instinctively shielding the shivering, whimpering, schizophrenic inmate beneath me. There is no relief in the veteran guard's eyes, no acknowledgement of a human life saved. I am not a man to him. I am a liability. I am a stack of paperwork he doesn't want to fill out. He nudges the sole of my canvas shoe with the reinforced toe of his polished boot. "Get up," he growls, the administrative indifference slamming back into his tone. "Get back in the line." I scrambled to my feet, my knees trembling so violently they barely hold my weight. I grab the back of the schizophrenic's canvas collar and physically haul him up, shoving his shaking body gently back into formation. As I wipe a mixture of cold sweat and asphalt dust from my forehead, I look out through the chain-link fence, past the coiled razor wire. Over on the movie set, someone is shouting into a megaphone, clapping their hands, resetting the scene. Stallone sits in a canvas chair under a massive umbrella, casually taking a sip from a bottled water, completely oblivious to the cage. To them, the deafening gunshot was just local color, a free sound effect to make their little fictional world feel a bit more authentic. We resume our dragging march to the laundry. Clank, shuffle. Clank, shuffle. Hollywood burns millions of dollars on fake tattoos and makeup sponges just to play pretend in our personal hell. No justice or miracle saved my life today. I lived only because a bleeding corpse on the asphalt would have fucked up Stallone's lighting.